which nothing is added, just some things taken away.
If you approve these minutes, my name will have to be taken off of them. I did not write these minutes, and I will not attest to them. So that'll have to be taken off the bottom. Also, the ones that you just motioned to have done have been published. These will have to be republished.
No, they won't. They
Oh,
won't.
yes,
I
they do.
talked to the League of Municipalities, and she said they will not.
What did you take out of it?
Just, I struck some things from the original minutes that were people's names, mostly like from the public hearing, and things that weren't required by statute. And I did talk to the League of Municipalities about that, and they said that that was appropriate.
And I'm agreed with it from here on, but these minutes were already published, they're already done, they're already in our minutes book. And these minutes that I wrote need to be approved.
No, they don't have to be. What's in our binder that we keep in the office that people can review does not have to be the same thing that was published.
Yes, I got
And
an
we can take your
affidavit
name
from-
off of it.
No, we get an affidavit of what is published, Jamie. It proves that it was published because we have to publish the minutes.
It
They have
proves
to
it
be
was
approved.
published.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that that's what has to be in the binder for all of infinity.
I believe that it does.
Brooks,
No.
can you shed any light on this for us? I mean, you've been to these meetings and print these things or whatever. Do you have any? Because I'm at a loss.
Obviously, I'm not the city attorney, but I'm happy to give you my opinion. The only thing that's required to be recorded is the action of the council. The clerk, however, has the authority to record the meeting as she sees fit, as far as I've always been concerned, because everybody does it a little different. Some people include a whole bunch of stuff, and some people include nothing, and they only record the votes. It depends on what the purpose of your minutes is. I mean, my question, not to be too confrontational, but would be what is the purpose of removing the items? I mean, obviously it affects me directly too, so it does matter. It depends on what the objective is to do so, in my mind, but that's up to you guys. So, I mean, I don't think Donna is doing anything. I have 5 newspapers with 5 different cities, and they all do them differently. Donna is more descriptive about the conversation that happens in general terms, which we talked about earlier, a couple of weeks ago, I think, and I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't subtract anything or necessarily. I personally like it when there's a little bit more about the discussion that happens, like she does. But she's the one writing them, so she's responsible for them, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
What about the ones that I did publish and you sent me already an affidavit that they have been published? If we change them now, what do I do with that?
So, in another town that I have, they send me a reduced version for printing. I don't know that they send me a longer version for printing and keep a reduced version. I've never seen that happen, but it doesn't mean it can't happen. I don't know specifically the answer. I know that when you have a meeting, you have to publish the action of what happened at that meeting within a certain number of days after the meeting. So, as far as the record of those goes, the city is required to keep a log record of all the meetings that it has in the office for public inspection at any time. The nature of that, I guess it only matters when it ends up mattering. Like if somebody ever questions it or challenges it or something. As to, I mean, I guess if the league has said it's okay, I don't know.
Would that be a question for the lawyer?
Well, it certainly, yeah, it certainly would be. I was asking you my thoughts on it. No, that's not what I mean. Yeah, if you're confident in what Jamie asked the league, you're confident in what Jamie asked the league. If you're confident in what Donna says, I mean, I don't think I agree with her on the idea that you shouldn't make her represent minutes that she didn't write.
These are all
In that
Donna's words.
Respect,
It's just some sentences have been written.
but is it what
But I did
she's?
not add one single word.
No, I know, and I didn't mean to imply that, I just mean, is she willing to attest that that's her recollection of what happened at the meeting for the minutes? That's the only
And
thing.
I would be
So-
happy to strike her name from the bottom.
I guess it's, to me, it's a transitioning thing, is that for a long time, this is the way it's been. You know, the longer version, the more scripted things, the more descriptive was going on. And I do understand where that potentially could add open for criticism, because there could be bias in there, which I don't see reflected in this. But in sitting and listening to the League of Municipalities, the streamlined version is better. And I do remember reading the Crofton Journal, being the president of the school board, and there were two. There was the minutes that were taken, and then the press had been there.
Well, sure.
And they had their own, so there were two. There was like
Sure,
this,
yeah.
and there was like this, so there was both were there in the paper. So I don't know,
Now, I will tell you that that's why I started recording all the meetings that I go to, because I would often get challenged as, that wasn't said, this wasn't said, so it is nice to have a little bit more description of the actual conversation. If somebody gets up and is at the podium, there's nothing wrong with recording their name, you know, and the gist of what they talked about, how that comes out is up between you guys and Donna, it doesn't matter to me necessarily. I guess I would be interested, just as a member of the public and as the press, to know what is there a specific concern or a reason?
And see, that's why I don't wanna change it. I'm good going from this moment on, in last month's meeting, I did them the way that you suggested. They're
Yes,
very
that was
short to the
wonderful.
point. But if you do this one, you need to go back and you need to do all the minutes that I have done since I started. Cause why would you just pick out February 12th of 2024?
Well, one thing is you have the minutes starting at 6 PM, and the meeting didn't actually start until 6:30 PM.
Yeah.
So I feel like, any documentation or any minutes from what happened last week shouldn't be in the meeting. The meeting starts at 6:30, that should be the first sentence. There shouldn't be half of a page
But I did
before
the
the meeting
agenda
started.
that we sent out and posted for people, inviting them to that ceremony before the meeting.
Doesn't matter. The meeting
Maybe
started at
the meeting-
6:30.
Right. But
Why
the
are we
agenda
talking
said-
about things that happened before the meeting?
That was pretty pertinent to our citizens to know
Well,
what's
that's
happening.
your opinion, and that's what we need to strike from
That's
the
my thoughts are,
minutes as
it's
well.
February 12th, I made a motion on it. It's in the paper, it's been published. So if we start taking this one and doing this one, the general public out here, what did you take out? Why are you changing it? Satisfy this one, it's been published already, leave it the way it is, and from now on, do it the way, who's gonna be the boss, tell what we have to put in, what we don't.
Would you
That's
be
my
happy
point.
to approve the one that I edited? I would be happy to approve that one.
This one that's been in the paper already?
No, the one I just passed
Well,
around.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm
Okay.
not gonna show, people are gonna ask, how come we got two different meetings on the same night?
Can we
Do they
table
minutes?
it and I will,
Now,
I
it's
can write
perfect,
an
man.
article in the paper or contact the League of Municipalities or whatever you would prefer. I'd be happy to work on that.
I'm gonna leave my motions where it is right now. I think the one that's been published, the general public gonna say, why are they changing it now, after how many years they've been
Do
doing
you
it
want me
the
to
same
go
way?
line by line and explain why I'm taking out, why I chose to strike each one? I'd be happy to do that right now.
Well, this is, after this meeting, after this one right here, do it the way, the format that you wanna do it, or whoever wants to do it. Our clerk
The
doesn't.
statute, it's state law, what's state law, that's the
Well-
way I wanna do it.
You can't change the minutes after they've been published.
You can,
Actually, the state statute tells you what you have to have in.
Right.
It doesn't tell you everything that you can put in. It just tells you what you have to have.
right.
It doesn't say that I can't tell you what happened or that we had somebody wired or anything. It just tells you what's in it. Everything that's legal has to be in there is in my minutes.
You mentioned people's names that made comments while they were sitting in the audience.
It was a public hearing. I have to do that.
No, you actually don't take minutes during a public hearing. Like when the planning and zoning had, think we should mention people's names that weren't on the agenda or people from the audience that asked a question. I don't think we should have any opinions.
And it's all a learning process, and after this, we talked about this and we've learned. So in March, we made a correction based on being educated, being more knowledgeable. So February, we weren't enlightened at that point in time, and now we are, so we can move on. So can we approve the February minutes, because there's nothing in there that's harmful, right? Legally harmful for us?
Oh, that would depend on which side you're on.
Okay.
I have a question. Is it legal for a council member to write the minutes of the meeting?
I didn't write any minutes. But
Writing minutes that you want to approve?
I didn't write anything. I didn't come up with any original words. What? Yeah, and actually, the League of Municipalities said that there's no statute that minutes have to be approved, so we could just not.
And who's gonna write the minutes forward?
I mean, that could be up for discussion too.
Oh,
Now you got a motion, so we need a second, that's why we need. Move on to this, we got bigger things to look at tonight than this. That's okay.
if we made the adjustments to make this after we learned and educated, and the March ones reflect the essence of the law without putting us in danger as this potentially has, then I'm going to second that motion.
Okay. I feel like I should leave the meeting because this isn't our normal routine, and we have 2 members absent tonight, and now we have a quorum that's not our usual quorum, or our city council, so if I leave, then it would be back to our city, no quorum.
Well, we have bills to pay, I don't know what else to do, I mean, it's entirely up to you.
We have to vote on it.
Why don't we can still have a discussion? We have a motion second.
Okay, I'm gonna call, Jason and ask him if he could come up, even though he's been sick.
We can table this, I guess. What difference does it make?
Jamie, I wrote these minutes on the 13th of February. You went to class on the 26th and the 27th, and you came here and learned something, and you're changing the past. If you change this February one, you have to go back and change them all.
I can do that. We can work on that.
You
Now
can't
we-
rewrite the meeting,
now
you're
we-
not a your council member.
No,
Just kind of
I'm not changing my
If
minutes.
if you think it would be appropriate to go back and change all the minutes, then we can work on that. I
You
would.
do know that we have someone who's accusing us of changing our minutes and our policies now.
I don't know if that person was educated on the statutes or not, but the person that I talked to in the League of Municipalities is, and I feel comfortable taking that person's advice. So I don't know who the person you're referring to is, but unless they're educated in the area or have
Maybe you
some
should call the lawyer.
authorities or.
I feel comfortable with tabling to see
saying that we can't do it because it's public. It's, well, the newspaper guy's recording it,
Yeah.
so what, so he's gonna get
Place it
sued
on
too?
YouTube.
Everybody's gonna get sued if it's libel. I don't know why we're sitting here arguing over something
I
so
don't
unique.
either. I don't either. But I agree that we should table it, and I thought we were only doing bills tonight. That's what, I have the text to say that, the bills and the audit was what I understood that we would be discussing tonight, so unless they're changing that,
Can't wait with the motion and second, guys, I'm not. I'll rescind my second.
Can you do that?
To me, it's
So
like
you're
a problem.
telling me that Jamie's gonna change all the minutes from way back.
Since I
Have to
started.
recorrect all. And we're gonna have to make sure that everything is done, whatever.
that was Donna's idea.
Well,
He's a
that's
perfect
what that
person.
should happen.
That's all I-
You can't just change one. You can't just change one, Jamie. You can't just change one. If February's are wrong, then January's are wrong, December's are wrong, and November's are wrong. I don't have a problem with it. I even did what you wanted for March. I'm just asking you because my name is on it, I've attested to it, it's been published, it is our legal minutes to just leave it this time.
I feel like it's unprofessional and biased, and it's got opinions and people's names, and I feel like that it's really inappropriate.
And you just threatened them by saying that you will leave, so there's no quorum at this meeting if
Yes,
they don't do it.
Because two of our city council members are not here tonight.
That's not why you were going to leave.
And because I suggested that we cancel, and Bob said we would only do bills tonight.
And we need to talk about that, because the two things are out, and then none of it's this, I just thought this was a formality, because going forward, we had this fixed. So when we were educated, informed, and now we know better how to do this without putting ourselves in harm's way, moving forward, we will do that.
I'm asking you to go ahead and to approve her minutes. My name will not be on the bottom of it, her name will be on the bottom of it, that she revised them, and it won't be mine. And just so we can get done with this and get on with what needs to be done, please. So please, rescind your motion and make a motion to accept the revised Jamie version. Please, Larry. Please. Please.
And if you would prefer, I would be happy to explain line by line what I'm taking out and why.
I've only rescinded if you promise that you're gonna go through all those months and rechange them all. You said
cream bags that we ordered to give to the dam race. And then we've also used them for other things. We used a few for post-prom and I have several left over. But then, we can use those throughout the year or at the dam race. I ordered actually 400 more for the dam race. in addition. Yeah. And they have a really nice Crofton logo on them and it says City of Crofton. So,
Okay.
but yeah, the bid that they sent was different than the bill, so I'm not sure why that is. So I'll find out, but I think they're like $1.50 each.
So your motion is to pay the bills excluding that house from rent, is that?
There was one other thing that Chantel just brought to my attention to about, our website, our city website, we need to pay, it's called Immense. We need to, or the $6.65, we either need, it's an annual subscription to update the website. And I'm not sure, I guess I haven't looked at it. Is that the one that you update?
The Crofton website, yeah.
Do we update it at all, or is that you, or like we, somebody from the city has to update?
Yeah, I do it as administrator. I'm going to change things.
Is everything working right with it, or like we
I'm
should?
still having trouble, still having trouble wanting to put the minutes and stuff on. I'm having trouble driving that from our QuickBooks, but they're gonna talk with me and show me how to do that so we can have the newer stuff in there.
So we should probably keep them.
Yeah, I'd like them, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's good.
Okay.
And that's not on the bills?
It
Yeah,
is
it's
on
just
the
above
bills.
grade planes.
Okay.
So we'll approve this one too then, is
Yeah.
what you're thinking, okay. Okay, I'll second the motion to approve the claims.
Right. And Evans is yes, and Miller?
Yes.
Okay, claims have been approved. Moving on to the next item of business will be parking lines at the Gavins Point and, obviously we had a.
Well, actually, maybe, Mr. Weber's here. now.
Oh, water report, okay, yeah, two years, oh, sorry. Thank you for coming, welcome.
Sorry, I had to finish up a few things before I left. Yeah, is it all right if I sit at the table, or do you want me to
Well, wherever you can.
have you use a microphone too?
Well, I don't know, just been in the audience.
You got a loud voice, so.
Can you guys hear me out there, or do I need to?
That's fine.
You're good.
Okay. Well, I appreciate y'all having me here. It's been a weird kind of a year, so I apologize for that. I started out at a firm, and that's who you all originally had hired. And then I left, there, and I believe they told you they were not going to work with you. And so, I had reached out to Chantel and said, that I was gonna do my own thing. I finally kind of figured out what I was gonna do, and so, long story short, weird year. Next year, the audit will be done, in the normal timeframe, which would be the fall. Your year ends September 30th, so it would be like November-ish, December would be when the audit would happen. So I do apologize for the lateness of it all, but next year will be different. And I do plan to work with Chantel throughout the year in terms of questions she has in QuickBooks. Again, I am your auditor, so I am limited to the things I can do, but I can advise and I can provide, you know, my 30 years of experience in auditing different villages and cities, and as long as I don't make any management decisions, we're okay there. So I do plan to do that, just so you know. Just getting into the audit report then, and I know you had the state auditor here in the past, In other words, they look at a lot of things, way more than a normal audit would require, if you're following the standards properly. So if you remember your report from last year, you had a lot of what I would call nitpicky kinds of things. You're not gonna see that in my report. Now, does that mean those nitpicky things went away? Most of them did, in fact, go away. But those are the things that I'm gonna come back and work through with Chantel to sort through, and Donna as well, to sort through any of those things, to continue to work to get rid of the rest of those kinds of things. If I were to say from last year to this year, I would compare last year, there was just a lot, to me, a lot of nitpicky things. In other words, if you pay somebody $50 an hour to do something and you want them to find something that's off by $1, does that make any sense to anybody? No, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That's the kind of stuff that was like in your report from last year, in my opinion. Again, it's just my opinion, but it was mentioned 30 years. So I just want to give you a sense of that. The other thing is, the state statutes allow you to present your audited financial statements on the cash basis. And last year, part of it was cash basis, part of it was a modified accrual. What does that mean? On the modified accrual was on your proprietary funds or your utility funds. Basically there, what accrual means is you're showing your liabilities and your receivables, those kinds of things. In other words, things that you might receive in the future are receivables, things that you were going to pay in the future are payables. You would record those on the cash basis. You don't record anything until you actually incur that expense or receive that money. The audited financial statements, the financial statements that are in my document are all 100% cash basis. Okay, so there's no accruals in here. I do that for all of my villages and cities. Again, we can talk about this and change it if you would like, and that's what I said to Chantel as well. I like to do it this way because it makes it consistent, makes it easier to understand. These things are hard enough to understand as it is, and nobody looks at it. I mean, this document will probably just go in the corner, and I know that. I've been doing this a long time. I got thick skin, so I get it. But there is some valuable information in here, so with that kind of introduction, I will move forward with my audit report, and it's informal, so if you guys have questions, by all means, ask me while I'm here. If you think of something after the fact, Chantel and Larry, in fact, has my number, so you can, you can let them know, and you get a hold of me, and I will answer it.
Can you just get a basic overview of the chronology of this, or how what's the last date where we can normally turn in an audit to the state, and then do they review it and then they come back to you
Correct.
or us with referrals or
Right.
questions?
So-
how's this basically work?
So, everything was late this year, so it was due on the 31st, and we did get it into the state auditor. I believe, so 31st was a Sunday, so you actually had till April 1st. But I got it in on that Friday, so we were kind of up against it a little bit, and that's why I apologize. Next year, that will not happen. Just the timing of everything that occurred on my end personally created that situation on the year we had, and I apologize for that. But this next year, I promise you that.
With that one about penalty or?
No, there's, it was all in before the due date, so you're all good there. As far as the second part of your question, they do review it, and they will reach out to me with questions that they have. Based on those questions, I will get Chantel and Donna to help me answer those if needed. Most of the time, it's just about the audit, it's not necessarily about the numbers. If it is about the numbers, then that's where I would give you all know, but it's more about the audit.
So the state will audit your audit, basically?
Well, not really audit, but they'll review it.
You'll review, okay.
I mean, if you consider it that, they usually have now their staff is getting thin. That's why they're not doing these audits anymore. They're not, I don't know if you heard, but they're not doing county audits anymore. They're not really doing city. They're focusing more on the state level kinds of things. Because the whole industry, CPAs in general, are struggling finding new talent. We created this situation because they see us, and I'm working, all kinds of hours. No young person wants to do that. basically need to go get your, your master's degree in order to even sit for the exam. When I took it, all I had to do was finish 4 years, and I could sit for it, and I could be still in college and sit for it. Can't do that anymore. So we've kind of created that situation, but the talent level is not there, and so the state bar is struggling hiring people. Our profession is struggling getting talent to come on board. So they are working on that, I believe, where they're gonna probably get rid of or reduce that. I'm hopefully getting some more talent in there, but that's kind of, I guess, what happened there. But they usually have an intern or somebody do what I would call a desk review. So they have like a checklist and they check the box. So it's not extensive in any way, shape, or form. So they're not auditing my audit, but they are looking at it to make sure it makes sense. So having said that, let's go through the audit report. I take about 15-20 minutes to get through everything, so hopefully that's okay. The first document I want to highlight is the independent auditor's report, which there is no page number on it, but it is page 1. I'll just go through that. The first paragraph, 2 paragraphs there are the opinions. That used to be at the very end, now it's at the very beginning. And basically what this says to you, it's my opinion, says to you that I have audited your financial statements as of September 30th, and I have given an unqualified, or what we call a clean opinion, that the financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects. That's that materiality that I was talking about. So that's the highest. There's basically 3 opinions that you can give, and that's the highest opinion you can give is a clean or an unqualified opinion. There's a modified opinion, there's adverse opinion. Adverse is bad. Basis of my opinions, this just highlights what I had to follow in terms of standards to come up with my opinion. And that's even more highlighted once you get to the second page as far as what I had to follow. The third kind of bolded item there on this It gets a little weirdish, I'm not gonna lie. It gets a little complicated, but these first two documents here basically kind of smush things together or bring them together. With governmental accounting, you have fund accounting, I call them buckets, all right? You have the governmental activities or the general fund, your police, fire, all that sort of stuff all are in your governmental activities. The business type activities are your utilities. Those are like a business. In other words, what you're doing there is you're charging for a service, just like a business would, and you're making money, you're profiting, or you should be anyways, otherwise you're gonna be out of business very quickly. And that's why it's called business type of activity, so we kind of break those into two separate buckets, if you will. So that's, this page 4 is what I would call your balance sheet, if you're familiar with that term. That's a for-profit term, but that's, this is more like a balance sheet. It's your statement of net position. Again, it's cash basis, so it's only gonna show cash and your net position or your fund balance, and then break it down, by restrictions. So you have to see that here. On page 5 is a really complicated report to describe, but again, it's your income statement, and again, it's trying to bring both the governmental activities and business type activities kind of together. I'll do the best I can to explain it. If you've got questions, let me know. If you stay up top, I kind of slice it in half. Where you see those double underlines, I kind of slice it in half right there. And look at the top and then look at the bottom. That's how I have it make sense to me anyways. If you look at the left-hand side, you got your functions. So you got your governmental activities, and here's your functions under the governmental activities, all right? And then you got your business type activities. What you lay out is your disbursements in each one of those areas. And what the people that came up with this wanted to do is try to show you all what all income do you get that directly attributes to each one of these functions, so you can kind of see where you're at. All right? So if you look at general government, you had $217,858 in disbursements. You had $33,260 of income or operating grants and contributions that directly related to that, which left you with a negative $184,590. In other words, you spent more than you brought in that was directly related to that function. So to me, this is kind of a, I don't know, this report to me doesn't really provide that much information, because this is how it's going to be. If you look at all the reports across the state of Nebraska, or really government, they're all mostly going to be negative like this. I don't know. To me, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Doesn't provide a whole lot of information to me. But so you're saying, well, we lost money. In other words, yes. How do we make that up? Well, if you kind of follow that governmental activities down, you got a bunch of general receipts that are also can be used for anything related to the city of Crofton. So if you follow that down, you got property taxes of $268, sales tax. Those aren't directly related to any particular function, all right? But they're revenue of the city. So in fact, you made up almost all of the difference there. You had a shortfall of 80,000. Your net position at the beginning of the year was 922,071, and your net position at the end of the year is 842,285. Now, you're saying, well, we lost money, our fund balance went down. That's not necessarily a bad thing. You might have budgeted that way. You know, that you were going to use some of the funds that you had set aside at some point in time. So that doesn't necessarily concern me. Business type activities, if you look at that again, this should be closer, and it is closer in terms of your disbursements and your revenue. It's a lot closer. You didn't have a whole lot of, and you wouldn't have a whole lot of general receipts here. Your beginning fund balance was $746,599. We had a prior period adjustment of $250. That prior period adjustment was to deal with those accrual bringing it to cash. Okay. Because we had to start with your fund balance from last year's audit report, which was the $746,599. but it's easier because it's this buckets separately. So now we have the governmental funds, balance sheet, income statement. Governmental funds consist of your general fund, street fund, special revenue funds, and your debt service fund. Much easier to understand. Again, it's cash basis, so we show cash up top, you got fund balances down below, and then you're required to show any restrictions on those fund balances, and that's all shown there as well. Page 7 is your income statement related to the governmental funds. Again, much easier to understand. You got those same columns. You got your cash receipts up top, so that's your income that you brought in for each of those funds. And then your disbursements broken down by the functionality again as well. And then if you had any transfers in or out, much easier to kind of see and understand that. And then the last set of financials, pages 8 and 9, are the proprietary funds or your business type activities. Those are your utilities. We got the sewer fund, the water fund, the sanitation fund. None of that's restricted. On the page 9 is your income statement. So your only revenue is charges for service. I did go through this in quite detail with Donna. We spent about half a day or so kind of going through everything. And again, we didn't have any issues with how she was invoicing and collecting money, collecting the data in order to create the invoices out and to flow pretty straightforwardly. So we got charges for services, and then we got the expenses, capital outlay, and then there's where it kind of details out a little more information as far as the prior period adjustment. Pages 10 through I believe it's 16 or 17 are your footnotes. So when you put together financial statements, you got to explain some of the things. So that's what your footnotes do. Note A for the board members, I'm not going to go through this in any great detail, but note A provides the significant accounting policies that the city has in terms of putting together, coming up with the numbers and then putting it into the financial statements. So that takes all the way through page 13. On page 14, I would just draw your attention to note C. As a governmental entity in the state of Nebraska, you are required to have your deposits covered by FDIC, and then any pledge collateral. Electric Bank is the one that's mainly responsible for that, but you have to make sure that you're doing it. And I believe everything was covered by either FDIC and or pledge collateral, so we didn't have any issues there. And that's kind of laid out in the third paragraph of that note, where it says custodial creditors, that outlines it right there. On page 16, I would just draw your attention to the bonds payable. You did have one bond, and this provides the detail of that beginning balance, payments, the remaining balance, and what's due in the next year. And then down below gives you the payment schedule, gives you an idea of what you have as far as a big ticket item for expenses coming down the pike. So this gives you some of that information. And then on page 17, that's where I describe the prior period adjustment, the change in the common policy, or change in the base of accounting, basically is what created that prior period adjustment. On page 19, I think I said 18 earlier, but page 19 is your budgetary comparison schedule. And this takes both the governmental activities and your business type activities, smooshes them all together in the actual column. The state statutes are not necessarily concerned about your revenues. They are more concerned about your expenses and to make sure that you have not overspent. If you have, and they're looking at it in total. I did have some internal control issues, and they are issues that are, across the state for small cities and villages, all right? So it's nothing against you all. There may be some things we can talk about. When I was presenting this to another one of my cities in the midst of the meeting, and I don't recommend that we do that here because it'll take too much time, but in the midst of the meeting, the board members kind of jumped up and said, oh, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this, and I kind of stopped, this is probably the time and place to do that, but, so they were already thinking of things they could do to maybe eliminate the issues that I had. Not really issues, they're just things that, most small governmental entities deal with, and they're listed on page 23. So, remember I said I prepared the financial statements? Well, what they tried to do in the standards is force you all to prepare them, and if you can't, then I gotta write you up. So that's what happens here, and everybody gets this particular, because most of the small cities, villages, most small entities in general, most small for-profit, they do not have anybody such as myself on staff to be able to prepare this. So to me, they just made it hard on us, me, to help you all. Okay? So I have to report it, so that's what this is. There's, not many things you can do to get rid of this, all right? So, but again, we can talk about this maybe after the fact, but it just is not a lot. If you go to any one of the other audit reports, you're gonna see the same comment on those small, sized, cities, villages. The second one, this is the one I think we might be able to work through, segregation and duties. Now, you got Donna and you got Chantel right now, okay? Chantel can pretty much do anything and everything in the city account. Okay, that's what kind of creates this segregation of duties. So what we need to do is maybe look at that and see, is there more things that maybe Donna can do? Not that we want to put more on her plate either, because utilities is a big animal to deal with. But maybe there's more things that can be split. Maybe there's some things that you all are doing currently that could maybe be beefed up a little bit to overcome the fact that Chantel can do all these things. As simple as if she deposits the money that is received for the day, printing out a report, and then one of you all come in and sign it, look it over, sign it. As simple as that. That could eliminate maybe this point. And that's just one example. On the expense side of it, just like you did today, you approved your claims. So you've got that side pretty much covered, okay? It's more probably on the income side, I would say, that maybe more than just a report on a monthly basis to you. We could maybe do something a little more than that, then that would shore that up a little bit more. And again, I'm just throwing out a few things. There's much more we could probably talk about there, but those are the two findings. I mainly wanted to make sure you understood that these are not unusual for small counties or small cities and villages. All right. So this was not a slam on you all. It was more, I think, things from reviewing the state auditor report and knowing a little bit of the history of the city offices, where you were at and where you're at now. I think you're going in the right direction financially in terms of accounting for things. So with that, I will turn it back over to you all, and I will stick around for a few minutes if you have any questions. Otherwise, like I said, Chantel and Larry have my number, and you can let them know and give a call later if that makes more sense.
And thank you for putting this into your schedule. I know, as you said, there's you're few and far between, and we do appreciate the fact.
Well, and again, it's my issue because of what happened as far as leaving and then the timing of all that, and then trying to figure out what I was gonna do with my life at the time, and then kind of coming to, kind of makes sense to keep doing what I'm doing, just do it on my own. And so it just, and then to get my, my business kind of up and running, and that's been stressful, let's just say a lot of people do it. Now doing it on your own, yeah, just a lot of ups and downs, a lot of stuff I didn't really think about, and a lot of things that, but it's been fun, but I do taxes, but this is what I really like to do, is the audit side of it. It makes more sense to me than tax. Taxes don't, some of the things in tax don't make sense to me. I explained today, like the child tax credit. Why do we cut it off at 16, then you get $2,000 per kid? 16, boom. 17, 500 per kid. That doesn't make any sense to me. They're still in high school, so why isn't it, I mean, and they're wanting me to explain it, and I'm like, you have to call the IRS on that deal. I didn't come up with this craziness. Or what might be more important to you, like I do a lot of farm insurance, too. Depreciating on a cow, a living thing. That makes no sense to me either, but you can depreciate it. You know, bull, heifer, depreciate it. Okay.
So can we maybe schedule a time to talk with you about things we can do to make changes
Yeah.
in the city?
Yeah,
or-
what, like I said, once the dust settles for me, I told Chantel, sometime in May, I'll come back up here for a day or
Okay.
two. And maybe what she can do is let you all know when that's gonna occur. And then we can have lunch, or we can have like a work meeting kind of a thing, or whatever, however you want it to work, we can do that.
That sounds great.
And I can get into maybe more of the specifics of what I'm talking about, and then brainstorm on what you all can maybe commit. I know you commit a lot of your time already,
about that, if not, we'll move on to the details of the meeting that, was, Birdie Creek, no, Burdell.
Yeah, we had that meeting at the Haymarket. She went through, she has a PowerPoint, which I shared with everybody. Did you guys all get a chance to review the PowerPoint that I sent you? She
That's
said,
in the Knox County paper too.
was it, I don't know when that was published.
We have posted it, that review was published in the paper.
Okay, so just some highlights, you know, a couple things that she said was so what they did was they had like 20 people secret shop with us over the course of a year. And first, before they ever came to town, they Googled Crofton and saw a couple of different websites we have, and the pictures were beautiful. It looked really inviting and like a great place to visit, but then most of the website information was really outdated. It was like from 2017, 2018, it said I still work at the clinic, which has been, I think, 4 or 5 years now since I haven't worked there. So that was the first thing that she noticed. The one thing was about the Q125, which I think was in 2019 or something. She's like, oh, that sounds like a great thing to go to. I want to go to that, but then it was like 5 years ago. So then she just recommended that we have someone update our websites. And there's two. There's like the City of Crofton website, but there's also another one. And she said maybe we should consolidate or just make sure to keep them both up to date if we're going to keep them both. Or I think maybe the Crofton Community Club has one or something like that. Another thing was Wikipedia. So if you can look up Crofton on Wikipedia, and that everybody can edit that. Anybody that goes on can edit Wikipedia. So she said you can put your whole history of Crofton on there and really talk about history or the exciting tourist adventures that we have here or whatever you want. So we could beef that up. The City of Crofton website, there were several broken links, she said, and there was confusion about why there were 2 websites. Then our Facebook profile, she said we could update the name, and like on the logo of Crofton, part of the C was missing or something. She just said maybe update that Facebook profile picture. She also looked at some signs when we came into town. She came to all the entrances, and she said the entrance on Highway 12 towards the east maybe needed an updated welcome sign, and then the entrance on Highway 12 towards the west was like buried in some bushes. She said it's also important, like in our downtown area, to make it look distinct and special, and plant trees and have bright, colorful, updated signage for the businesses, and clean up storefronts and business appeal. And also she encouraged us to have positive and welcoming signs in our businesses. People commented on negative signs or aggressive signs that they noticed in businesses. Anything political kind of turned people away, turned businesses away, she said. She did say that the Argo Hotel, the lady there, Jennifer, was the epitome of hospitality. She said everyone that shopped Crofton and went to Crofton, that went to the Argo, across the board, their ratings of Crofton were higher if they visited the Argo. So that was really great to hear. One thing she did say about Crofton businesses, a lot of the businesses have limited store hours. Like some people were here on a Saturday, and some of the businesses were closed. So that was something that she mentioned. She said to add the dam race to the Crofton website. That's a really big draw for our city. The videos, if you Google Crofton, there So one thing that I did think after reflecting on her talk was that maybe we could use some of that economic development money for helping people, helping businesses if they wanted to buy a sign or clean up their front of their business or their storefront, or add something colorful, paint their building or something like that, then maybe we could implement a kind of a program where they could apply for help and we could help them with the cost of that. But maybe if it was up for approval, you know, if they submitted their suggestion of a sign and then we could pay for a portion of that. But she said overall, Crofton seemed like a very wonderful town, people were friendly, and the location was great. She said if we had public bathrooms open, which we do have public bathrooms right in the park, but bathrooms are a huge draw for bus tours or people driving through. If they're accessible, the people will stop for bathrooms.
But I mean, North Pole, too, so they have that whole park.
Yeah, I don't know if one of the softball fields are open as well, aren't they?
No,
They're finished, but I.
just during the summertime, I think they lock them up.
I mean, but during the summer they're open. all-
Yes.
Yeah.
In the wintertime, they're shut off.
Right.
No
Right,
speed.
well, so is that.
Yeah, both of them, they're shut down. But after the softball games at night, they don't leave them all night long. Just when they get done, last game, they lock them, and then in the morning they can open them up. They're supposed to be locked, they're not gonna have no cameras.
Right.
She did say overall, the people were satisfied with their visit with Crofton and they had good experiences here. Of course, I just write down things that I think that I can work on or, you know, thread to help others work on, but overall, it was very positive. And people loved our town.
Question? Thank you for attending, I was unable to, but thank you very much for that, and it is, I'm sure it was in the Knox County paper, or was it Knox County Journal, or Knox County paper, companies come and we travel the city and look for things where priority was dangerous, things were obviously a concern for the citizens, and so we looked at those and we addressed those, and then some other things like some aesthetic things as well, but mostly taking care of the safety part of it, and then, you know, the biggest issue that they said overwhelmingly is that most of the trees in that park are the same age, and all of them are at their life expectancy, so we have a huge undertaking if we want to update things, and well, I mean, the grant is $25,000, which seems like a tremendous amount of money, but when you look at what I presented to you, you know, a tree that will come up and provide some type of shade, for this year, be, you know, a good tree, they're $1,800 for a tree to get it installed, single tree, so that expense adds up. I could not get them to the Hardington Tree Company and the other company. The other company is the ones that not saved us, but came to help out last year when we had trees that were down in the park. I believe that is, I know these people. Tonight, yeah, and so they came and helped us out last year and got trees, actually physically trees off the buildings and did that too. I spent 3 or 4 hours with both groups. They're both reputable people. That Hardington Tree put a tree, it's out there. They just put a new tree here the other day by the basketball court. So that's there. I can't and won't discredit either one of their services. It's just that when you look at the numbers, I mean, the Hardington Tree Company, as they presented it, they will charge us per day. They're gonna come in and dispose of and remove branches. It does include the removal of stumps as well. And so only thing is excluded, if you have an existing stump that's an eyesore, we just can't remove the stump. We have to remove a tree, and with the tree we can remove the stump. And so we can do those, and if you look at the bids here, the Hardington Tree Company is $5,000 per day for the work they do. You know, I don't.
This other big got on the timbers,
Yeah.
they just got a price of removal. And Hardington Trees got a price for putting in a tree, so they're not giving us a price on putting the trees back in once they move them out.
They don't have trees.
Well, they don't have trees that they can do it, just Hardington has it, so.
But they have 5 people that they do get trees from, you know, that they work with, that are partners with them. So they can put trees back in for us, but their business is mostly taking care of them and getting them out of there, but they say.
They're not installers, they're definitions.
Right. And that's an additional fees here, that's not included in the $5,000 price either, you know, so so when the timbers people told me this, well, whatever the price is that Hardington Tree is gonna charge you per tree, we'll go buy the trees from Hardington, or Hardington's will still install the trees for them at the same price, it's just that they will do and the timbers is here's a tree, this is what it costs to get the tree down on the ground, this is what it costs to remove the stump, and take everything away, they do it by tree. And Hardington Tree Company is, we're gonna come in here and give you your best shot for $5,000 a day and do whatever we can get done. And the major concern in both of them, and I guess in my opinion with anything at all, is there are branches that are in tough shape, just right there, where we have kids playing all the time and the sidewalk is busy. And so that's what they have out there outlined for you, and the trees are numbered or labeled, whatever happens to be the case, but.
So is this what you're referring to as the timbers? That's another business?
This is one business, and this is the other.
Where's this business from?
They're the ones that did our trees last year.
Where they're from.
But from, well, Newcastle's originally where their home from is, but right now their business is out of, right on the river, on the south coast side of the river over here, whatever, just, like to Gavin's Point area, like that, that's where they are. And I myself was struggling with like comparing apples with apples, I just don't.
Kind of hard to
to just the South Park, I mean, if you pick up the one that says South Park and the paper that's behind it, if you look at the total tree removal for the South Park, to get that all taken care of. Yeah. And so the sum total of those 10 trees is $13,175. And that's providing that we, put in a little backfill. That we have some dirt that we can put back into there, because they don't have any backfill right now. And take away the grinding of the stumps. So that's an extra $1,500. So that part of it is pretty close. I mean, we're within a couple $100s of getting the same amount of work done between the two companies in the South Park. And that would be just for the disposal of those trees in the South Park. That 15,000, and that would give us $10,000 to put new trees in, or if you'd rather spend that other $10,000 going to the North Park and taking care of some trees that are not so much dangerous, but they are. I mean, just because they're huge.
Are we just looking at the parks, or we look, I noticed there's a diagram here, on the north side, they got the ball fields down there. That, if we're reading it, right?
That's what the softball fields, those are on the creek and the softball field.
Right.
Into the North Park. And then just from being here, been around and going softball, whatever, and of course last summer when Dustin and there's some real good shedders down there. I mean, trees that shed tons, yeah, I mean, hundreds of pounds, okay, maybe not tons, but tons of material was on the ground, right? We had pretty good wind, but still. Yeah. And there aren't a lot of campers, but there are during the softball tournament, there are tents that sit around trees to get the shade, and I love shade as much as anybody else, but the idea was at the gazebo makes its own shade, and the shelter makes its own shade, but the trees there, around there, also do provide shade and help keep it cooler, but there's some things that are just, for lack of a better word, they're dangerous.
Is the worst trees on the South Park over on the east end on West Second Street, or those, remember the old ones, number 2 and number 3, those are those big suckers over there, right? Right along this road here.
Right there.
Yeah, those are the oldest ones that we got in there, that number. Is it number 1, 2?
1, 2, 3.
Those have to be, they got to be the oldest trees here, don't they? Or these ones right over on this side here?
Over here?
Right straight out on Second Street. Those gotta be the oldest trees there, right?
I don't know if they're oldest, but they're more shade.
I mean, they're huge on the base, so that's what I'm calling old, those big ones like that.
And that too, Larry, I was confused too. Are the 2 trees that are behind the old A&D service, are those A&D service trees, or are those part of the park?
No, I think that belongs to the city,
Okay,
as far as I know.
all right, so those are 2 are concerned too, and they were like, well, they're gonna damage their building if they cause trouble with our trees, and I know that the American Legion has a little shed there to store flagging too, so I don't know.
These other ones, I think are pretty young, aren't they? They're 4 or 5. I don't know, Ken was, I remember Ken right there by the shelter. That's a big old tree right there on the south side of the shelter up there.
He thought that because the park was probably planted at the same time, the majority of its trees are the same age within.
But are we gonna take everything out and have no shade at all? That's what I'm asking. I mean, we're gonna have a fair park, are we? I mean, if you take all these out, it's gonna be quite, it's not gonna be no shade for nothing there.
That's what we're here to decide what you want to
I
do.
was just thinking, I mean, you don't want to be taking everything out. I mean, the oldest trees should have some attention to, but like, 7, 8, and 9, yeah, they're old, but we can't, that's the south side in the summertime, that's where we get most of the heat from that, if you have any function at night.
And he was really, I mean, he was figure out it's gonna be it's gonna be.
I mean, if we go ahead and concentrate on number 6 and 10, and then, you know, 2, 3, and then one right here by next to the thunder thing there, I think we still got enough shade in there to not scorch anybody, let these other trees grow up. I mean, I don't wanna take them all out, and then all of a sudden we got these big saplings growing up. I don't know how tall these other ones are. You know what I'm saying? How do you find them on here, which one is here? He's got a number of different, just 2 trees and 1 tree,
Where you at?
and hard to figure out which one's which. He does it by the day, these guys are doing it by the tree.
Right. So this one, we're just gonna walk out there and take a red thing and say, remove tree number, well, the one that,
1, 2, and 3
are those right there.
Yeah, and then number 6 and number 10.
You're right.
And I don't know what you guys think, but I think 4 and 5 and 7, 8, and 9, I think, you know, next go around, I think we could probably, you know, I hate to take everything out of the park. But that's up to me, that's not, I'm just guessing. And I think that Mr. Murphy and Mr. Warwick need to be, and then when's this grant come due? Right now?
Right now.
Right now.
And we can forego this $25,000 worth of tree removal, we can just let it walk away, or we can go ahead and do something. It's not.
Well, I think we need to do something to mold the trees myself, because, you know, you go over the windstorm, you drive uptown, you have tree branches laying all over the place, and Dustin knows it, and so does Larry when they worked here.
Can I, make a suggestion?
Sure.
Okay, the one that makes the biggest mess down here is the one closest to A&D service. All the rest of them were pretty well cleaned up last year as far as limbs that are probably gonna fall off and kill anyone.
The one
I guess
next to.
The one by A&D service is the one I'd clean up down here, and then I'd focus on those big cottonwoods along the creek in the north park and softball field areas.
These on here, though, since we took them other ones off, this one ain't much of a mess, these other ones.
These other ones, since we cleaned them up last year, haven't been too much of a problem. The big cottonwood along the creek by the north park and softball field are the ones that really make the mess when the wind blows.
So you're talking about them cotton ones that are down on that upper field in that creek line there?
Yes.
And that goes to that bridge right there, and And what about those ones in that lower field on the back, you know, where on that?
Anything along the creek up there makes a mess, but, mainly the cottonwood field.
Yeah, the cotton ones break apart.
Right.
So on behind that, where the creek starts on that upper field, there's more than one
I
tree.
mean, I don't know, I guess if we have to take them all the way out, or if we can just clean them up, or what, I guess,
Trim up the high branches and bring it down to a
make it a little more manageable.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
So that's what the Holstein deal is, that, you know, you could pick and choose the trees you wanted, and the rest they could just trim up for the 2 or 3 days worth of work for $15,000, $5,000 a day. You know, but those 3 they were talking about before in North Park are a 3-day deal, just those 4, because they're just so massive, they're just so much material, so you'll get the ones that are in the creek down there, which are a mass material, but, I mean, my personal thing, and I don't want to disagree with you at all, because you pick up all this stuff, is just the personal, the safety, and he was concerned, he didn't want to get out his magic tool and bore a hole in those, but when we watched the squirrels go in and out of the trees there, he was just concerned about, you know, and I granted, nobody's gonna say it's 100 miles an hour wind, go play in the park, kids, right? So,
So you're
I
talking
don't
about taking all 5 of them out of that little park, because there's 5, but there's one over there on that shelter on the east side of that, way to the east.
Yep.
There's 4 here, there's
Yep.
5. So them are all cottonwoods, right?
the one behind the upper, that's the ash tree, half of
Yeah,
it's
that's
broke up.
split in half.
Yeah. they-
That, you mean branches, a lot of branches fall off in the wind. And then, so this is a grant,
Okay.
and the grant is due like this month. And it's for 25,000.
Up to 25,000, minimum 2,000. Up
So
to
do we get the grant before we
No,
pay for
No.
the?
no. We get to approve for the grant, we spend $1, we ask for $1. We spend $10, we ask for $10. After we have received that the work is done, then we submit the receipt and then we get the money
After we get approved for the grant?
after we approve the grant.
So we need to approve, or we need to apply for the grant.
Yeah,
And then once we get approved for the grant, then we can have the work done.
right,
And then we apply for reimbursement.
right, it's exactly right, yeah. But I need to know when I'm applying for the grant, what you want me to do this, with $25 to work with Hardington Tree Company, and say, because I kinda wanna know if you're going to take out 10 trees, do you plan on putting back 10 trees? Because as I read it about 50 times, it's like, that's what they want. They want you to actually, if there was one way or the other, they want you to put in more trees than you're taking out. Just for soil stabilization, for shade, for the aesthetic value of your town.
Well, and I hate to say, yeah, let's take out 1, 2, 3, because I don't know what these trees look like right now, you know?
Right.
I mean, I believe what you say, if the experts say the trees are unhealthy. But you said the tree by A&D service is the worst, but that's not even indicated on.
Right. And the reason why is because I didn't know if they were
City
your
property.
trees. If they
You
were,
thought it was private, that A&D still owns.
So,
but if they're in the city park, then, right? And the one thing with the $5,000 a day is that we just like, oh yeah, those are city parks, and just go put a red X on them and they disappear
Yeah.
in the $5,000. Or we go back and make a comparable size kind of thing and say, oh, that size of tree is about a $950, removal of tree, $100 per stump, so it's about $1,000 tree to get out of there. And they're both flexible, none of them say that you have to have these trees today, and we can't change your mind, because if they go over there and they see something, or we, the better part of it, knows more about this, and no, that's not the tree, this is the tree that needs to go, then they're not gonna say, well, we only agree to do this tree, we're not gonna do that tree, they're gonna work with us on that. And they were both really good about that part.
So Oregon, in 3 days' time, in South Park, they could remove, 7, maybe 9, 10 trees in 3 days for $15,000. They took the first column, they said remove 2 maples, and then 1 maple, and then 2 maples around the shelter, and 1 lemon tree and stone. So they
to have 1 through 10. I mean, if we leave 7, 8, and 9, we wanna take out the 2 that are behind the A&D service, because there are 2 trees there, right? Right up against the A&D service, there's actually 2 trees there, and have those 2, keep 7, 8, and 9. I'm sure they'll work with this, I like this, dollars are basically the same.
And also on this one bid, it says 15,000 and 15,000. So does that mean a $30,000 total?
Yep, $15,000 North Park, $15,000 South Park.
And then this one is for 10,000, so we've got a $40,000 project, right?
Right. Which we could, you know, we could do just the South Park and then come back and put the trees that we want in the South Park and then be closer to that $25,000 mark, or $20,000.
And how much is the grant for?
25, up to 25. But then, like I said, it's just, it said that it's going to be, and they can't promise you that, of course, but the contingent is that there will be additional funds allocated going further forward, so you should plan ahead. I mean, if your grant was for $100,000, they can only give you a maximum of $25,000 now, but they may say that next year you get another $25,000. And that's why these guys, I don't know, I mean, obviously, if you look and walk in the parks, it could be thousands of dollars worth of work every year, but I don't know,
Down in the South Park, we got more hazards, because people spend more time in the South Park than they do up in that. It's north along that creek, because they're, away from all the ball fields and then, so right here in the South Park, we got a lot more activity, people have picnics, we got kids playing on the playground equipment. So there's more activity on the South Park than there is on the north of these streets are. It's over in the creek line, on that North Park, right? So I suggest we concentrate on the South Park, and pull out some trees, and, they're both big companies, nobody's saying they're not. But I wish they would've given both a price on 3 days, X amount of dollars, take out that many trees.
Apples to
In
apples.
3 days, that's what this other company don't do that, yes. I wish they'd come out and compare with this, because it's hard to figure out, but they put a number on each tree, these guys, they'll just take out that many trees in 3 days' time. Am I
And,
right?
and he said, to take out the 10 trees in the South Park with that might take them a week to 10 days to do that, instead of the 3 days, because they're gonna come in, they don't have
The equipment.
or the manpower, it's like a 2-man kind of deal, and so they might be here longer, but I don't know
I don't know either.
if
If
you
you
have,
have, and since it's new business, I think, myself, this 3 days, $5,000, they can pull out a lot of trees, so according to this, they can pull out 10 trees in the South Park. That's what they got invested, or 9 trees, any 9 that we want out of there. Or 8, whatever.
Yeah, but what if, you never know, excuse me, I'm interrupting, what if their manpower isn't the same on those 3 days? Maybe they only have 3 men available that day, so you don't really know how many, and then the next day they have 5 people available to do it, so it's not really giving you a
Am I
very,
giving us some apples to apples here?
yeah.
My suggestion would be to, let's apply for the grant. This doesn't even have a business on this bid. It doesn't say a name, a phone number.
I have all this contact information from Kelly. Kelly Connect. And we haven't before, because he didn't put that on, because we just wrote in checks for the manpower. So he's like, we have a business card, his account information.
So we've been using this company already.
Yeah, we've used both, like I said, Arlington Tree put in a brand new tree over there the other day, and I don't know who paid for it. They just put in a new tree here, and happy as a pet raccoon, the people that come and saved us in the storm came and helped us, and it was the other company, Canfor, Kelly's, and they're from. I don't,
Is one easier to work with or easier to get a hold of?
I don't
should apply for the grant and maybe take out the trees, the worst tree, like $15,000 if they come for 3 days. The worst trees, whether it's in the South Park, the North Park, maybe there's one wet bad tree here, one in the softball field, and one at the North Park. They can take out the worst trees in 3 days and then plant, this is $10,000 worth of planting new trees. And they're trees 1 to 1.5 inches, 2 to 3 inches, or 3.5 to 7 inch trees. So then we plant trees and like spend the 25,000. And then if we have if there's additional trees that are dangerous, then we'll be paying for that anyways. Like that wouldn't, we won't need that for the
But
grant.
you know, if we're gonna do, if you're gonna do 3 days, 5,000, they like to stay in one area instead of going from here and loading up and setting up over there. You understand? It takes money to move equipment around. You know, it's $15,000, it's just a South Park, 3 days, $5,000 stay. Then they say, okay, we want these trees here, after you get done, and then we're gonna, I have to set it in there. It's kind of like you know, kind of tough to squeeze them for that. You know, 'cause they got 15,000 with the South Park, North Park too, same thing.
So the only thing I can really compare is that, you know, if you look at the trees that they're gonna remove from the South Park, right, on both bids, yeah? Yeah. Okay, the one bid has that at $15,000, right? This is a baseball field, the second one's $15,000. And the other one, to do the same thing, has it at $10,675. So it's a, you know, $4,000 difference when you look at it, comparing something which would be comparable to comparing
Now,
apples.
they got 1,500 for this something, which is
Right.
So, just these trees up here, you gotta have 15,000, without the 1,500 for the something too.
Okay, so then, you know, that makes it 12,000, so you're still $3,000 difference.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can see where I can compare it.
So you're saying the timbers is higher than, right?
Less than,
13,000, 15,000, basically. Am I right, Bob?
yeah.
But then they will have to buy the trees from Harding.
Or there's another tree company in Hartington that's not the Hartington Tree Company that they've gotten trees from before. They actually have 5 tree brokers that they deal with. And it just depends on what kind of trees they have, what time of year we have, them, and then they go and get the best available they can, best marketable price. So they go do that research.
So this bid is basically almost 24,000, and that's without any trees.
Right. But we can, like I said, you just go take out the trees that you don't wanna have by having, like you said, the professional say, if we only have 25,000 maximum, which trees of these should be eliminated that are the least suspect, and then we'll buy new trees with that money until we get to $25,000.
Granted, if there are trees that are dangerous,
Right.
or, then we need to be taking those down whether we have a grant or
If the
not.
tree is this big, or so they
Yes.
can't be all orange not big, but still, if this is a concern, and I'm not the professional, that's why I had them do this, is get the estimate. this because they bought trees from them before to consider for our prices. So $1,800, big trees.
No, I think by looking at this, if we can pick and choose trees that we want to take out, probably save ourselves some money.
Motion to pay that.
Yes.
Motion is made and seconded to hire the tutors and apply for the grant for removal and installation of trees. Miller,
Yes.
Price, Evans, yes. Okay, next item of business is the dues for membership for the Crofton Community Club. And that's I believe you join as a city, correct?
Yep.
And so it's an annual membership as a city. I'm gonna make the motion that we approve the membership dues to Crofton Community Club. Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? Height? Evans? Yes? And,
Yes.
okay. For, next item is pool preparation. Our pool manager has contacted me multiple times, been working with that. She's laid out some graphic and designs that she would like to potentially put on the pool. She just wants authorization to, like we did last year, to get the necessary supplies to get the pool up and going and looking respectable. She gets out of school at 1:30, 2 o'clock every day. She'd like to start, and Dustin's already made preparations, got the power washer all cleaned up, and we can get that building power washed and painted and ready for the pool season. But she just wants to, approval for some financial
last year for the
And then what was
assistant
this,
managers.
what was the hourly lifeguard?
The lifeguard was $12 an hour and the veteran was $12.50 an hour last year.
And so and man, I sit here and my grandfather would be
But
rolling
this is
over.
only for the summer months of the pool manager.
Right, right.
And we're gonna have two full weeks of, lessons.
4 weeks of lessons, or 2 week sessions. Yeah. Two week sessions of lessons, yeah. That's the way it was prior to the last regime or whatever, and so we're gonna go back to that by request of the, and to meet the requirements for the American Red Cross, which we can't even say that right now with our current state of pool swimming lessons. We can't even mention the two words together, we don't fit, but we wanna get closer to being in compliance with the American Red Cross, I guess I can say that. We wanna be closer to compliant with what's ruled, what is common practice in the nation as far as lifeguard and swimming lessons. Right?
So why are we not in compliance with Red Cross?
Because Red Cross established 6 sets of steps in the American Red Cross post-swimming lessons, and they have specific amounts of time where you interact with students, and each one of them has specific objectives and criteria and standards for each one of those. We have right now 3 sets of or 3 sets of stages that are not in compliance with the standards in the life of any.
So what do we need to do to become in compliance?
Well, first of all, we have to acknowledge that those do exist, and we have to take a look at those standards. And our pool manager already has asked me about that, but it would say, we can, obviously, with enough personnel, we can combine, some of the groups together, but not really. It should be a 6-step process to get to the peak. And we don't have to have a 5 and 6. Go ahead.
Back when I was 15 and started lifeguarding, Red Cross switched over all of their programs. It was beginners, advanced beginners, intermediates, and they split up beginners to level 1 and level 2 and standalone. And same with advanced beginners, level 3, 4, and intermediates is 5, 6. And the reason we're doing that is because those those beginner kids, each one of those levels have so much material to cover that the kids were not able to meet the standards. And they took beginners, you have beginners that don't even want to get in the water, that will get their face wet. Then you have the beginner that's, get their face wet and wants to get going, but they need instruction. So they split up these levels so that you can make progress with the level 1s, make that class more so that they're comfortable in there. They did this when I was 15, 16 years old. Our lifeguards are not water safety instructors. You need to go to class to be certified to teach Red Cross. And I went through water safety instruction after lifeguarding. You actually take a class to learn how to teach. Because you don't just throw a kid that's scared of them, you don't make them go off to the diving board. It's dangerous to try.
So we have kind of a modified version of swim lessons, which are not American Red Cross. Okay.
And we label them as swimming lessons, and we do have certified Red Cross with like CPR stuff, right? We do have the ambulance come and help us with CPR stuff like that, so we do that,
So
but the rest
the
of it.
lifeguards become like.
Right, so we have 1st grade, but now we wanna have kindergarten, and we wanna have pre-K, so that we get a logical sequence to get through there. And it is, when you read it, if you go to the American Red Cross, look at the 6 steps, it is very meticulous, like, these are the criteria to go from step 1 to step 2. And it's just spelled out in great detail. And like you said, not everybody's a great teacher, but at least if you go through the process, you learn how to teach.
So we're losing lifeguards because we're not up to par of our pay, correct?
Right, 1750, no matter what your status is, 1st-year lifeguard, 20-year veteran, 1750, within, 14, 15 miles. They go to work starting.
I wanna throw, you know,
okay, whether people were getting paid to mow lawns, and they were both content with that $16 an hour to help us manage. So I believe at $18 an hour, they would be super happy, but if you want to do the 20,
That's just an assistant manager,
no, that's the real deal, the manager.
So the manager was what, did you say?
When we talked about this, she wanted to know what the basic, and I said, well, I know that people that mow the lawn for the city are helping out getting paid 16, and they were both happy with, if at management, they were gonna be paid $16 an hour. They were happy with that at management, so I was like, well, for 18, I mean, maybe they're, because not the third manager, the high school senior manager that knows the most about the pool of our existing pool of people, she's the $18 person, and I don't know how we do this without her, and I guess she understands the value here and knows that $17.50 or $18 to go there and do that, or she can help us out and be in their own backyard for $18 an hour. So I'm kind of suggesting that those assistant managers, they're all managers, because there has to be one of those three there has to be, and they all have to be what the magic chemical certified or whatever it is, right?
They do.
They do, and so they're gonna have to have certification, and they'd be that $18 an hour. And then that veteran lifeguard that we have, this like rock star veteran back from years of experience, that's $17 an hour. And then new lifeguards at 15, and I don't know if that's right or not, because a new lifeguard has just the same responsibilities as a veteran lifeguard, so maybe I'm out of line there, I don't know.
you're playing with the hours in that lifeguard, 15, huh?
Yeah, the
And
new,
then, veteran 17,
yeah,
and, assistant manager 18,
all the managers come out,
pool manager and assistant.
yeah,
Okay.
management, let's just put
And anybody that's in a management spot.
anybody that's put a manager has to be in a position where they have to go, they have to do the testing, they have to be able to put in the time, go online,
we don't
have
get
those
lifeguards,
numbers.
Amy, we can't open the pool.
Whether there's one child or 30 kids in that pool, every child is important. And that
Absolutely.
lifeguard is responsible.
I don't think anybody's downplaying the importance of a child's life.
No.
Nobody is saying that.
I don't think it matters whether there's all the kids in Eastern are there.
I'm just
or
saying
whether
that's
it's-
why we can afford to pay them those wages.
But they're,
Can we afford to pay those wages?
yeah, I mean, it's,
Does the
our
pool make
pool-
that much money
Our
that?
pool doesn't make money. Our pool is not here to make money. It's never, as far as I know in history, and Larry may prove me wrong, it's never made money, that's not here for. It's made money in the long run, evidently, yes, because there are people here because of our, and it was stated in there, the beautiful parks that we have, and the opportunities we have for kids.
It's an
So-
accommodation for everybody.
So if you're looking at it, like, is Crofton here on the map, and there are some people here because of the pool? Perhaps. Will they go somewhere else and be somewhere else without a pool? I don't know that. But I know that it's something that we offer for our kids, and for me, it's an investment in our community, and to our people, so I just like, and you're right, I mean, without this kind of wage, you don't open the doors, because that Bloomfield, I mean, I just talked to her again this week, it's $17.50. Every lifeguard walks in, if you have never been before, $17.50, we'll take everybody, if you can work 1 hour a week, we'll take you at $17.50, because that's how bad we need people. That's Bloomfield, that's not Yankton, that's Bloomfield, and their pool is, I've been in the pool, I don't, obviously this body don't go to many pools, but, so it's just like, right? So, and that's not, and the Wausau one is comparable, and Osmond, they're together, so I cannot see where an Osmond, and I haven't called there, so I'm not 100% sure that Osmond's gonna be $10 an hour versus $17.50 at Bloomfield, because they're not gonna get anybody to come and be a lifeguard for $10 an hour. They may not, I'm sorry, but, but it's entirely what you want to do. It's just that we, and Chantel has looked into it, we have to do something if we're gonna have a pool, because they need to take classes, and if they can even get in classes yet.
One of the last classes is here on April 27th and 28th. It's one of the classes that we're looking at for Jenna. It was booked already. Like, cause it's a weekend class. It's 8 Saturday and Sunday, so.
And we do, I mean, for better than we do, have in the past, according to policy, pay them for their training after their years of successful. They go take their training and we pay them back if they complete a year. You guys agree with that?
I just don't think we can wait for another month, because it's already gonna be May, and the pool's gonna be open on Memorial Day, is that right, Dustin?
That's what we shoot for.
Not trying to make a decision, so we get all these things in place, get our pool people in place, work on the pool, get everything turned up, so we got no hangouts when it comes to Memorial Day, they don't have us, dragging our feet, because we gotta do something.
Have we had it? Oh, we probably won't even need it. As much wider as our pool holds right now, I don't know how can we leak it, because it's got a lot of water.
I don't think we're gonna have water in this year, to be honest.
There's a expense. Hey,
That was a
we
huge
might make money.
Yeah,
We might make money.
no kidding.
Right.
Did we fix the leak last year?
Yes.
It worked?
Well, the pool never froze in huge this year, so
That's
we can get by 1 year with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of water in there right now. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna make the motion that we do 20, 18, 17. Motion is second, and I guess it's my turn to start, and Evans is gonna be yes. Miller?
I'll just defer.
And then Height?
Yes.
Okay, so the next item of business would be the lockbox for emergency keys in the situation wherever would be where we didn't have the pleasure of Chantel's or Anna's company, or I was out of town and I have keys like to the evidence room, and somebody needed to have access to it. We need to have a way, some way where people can get access to those keys. Limited think that we kind of have it under control, is that we do have a file cabinet that's under lock and key. And so instead of, like it says, you're going by an emergency lockbox kind of thing, we'll identify those critical keys, have them in that lock file cabinet, and have the people that need be, have access to that. That sound fair enough?
Yeah, as long as we got anybody, if somebody needs to get in, somebody's not around, we can get in, get the key, and go take care of the emergency and put them back. And I think if you pull them out of the lockbox, you should have a chip, so whoever's got access to that takes out the emergency key, puts the chip on there. People forget, but you gotta make sure that, okay, Larry Pike's got a key out here. Where is it? So somebody, they just don't all of a sudden disappear. There's a chip that puts whoever's names are gonna be having a key to that key box. Say for example, Dustin's out of town, and we got a major thing that happened to happen, we gotta get the payloader out, or we gotta get the skid loader out, we need a key to that maintenance yard. And there's a lockbox, get man, put the shit on, go take care of it, put it back, put the shit where it belongs to. So we did it at the institution I was working at, it worked out great, nobody, you might take off or go on vacation, or somebody's sick, and somebody always got access to take care of an emergency, only in emergency cases.
I guess we don't need a motion on that, but just as an order of priority of business.
Find out sheet.
Okay, we have old business, we have a jail contract.
Should we just table this for next time?
Right,
What's that?
table the jail contract.
Were you gonna do some research on that, and I haven't talked to you.
Yeah. I can't remember who I talked to, it's all blur, but yes, we've been talking to people about that. Okay, so we'll table that. Then the next thing is closed session, but if I look at this, I mean, the possible pool hire, we kind of got that under control, right? And wages, right? Easements of property, do we have the?
We got one that, the easement's gotta be rewritten and voted on by the board of executive. So the other two are, one is completed, their office done, and then the other one is, they're working to get it notarized. We're waiting on one that is, talking executive session over certain things.
Okay, and then, do you want to table or wait on the hiring, or go close session, talk about that?
We
Okay, right?
can table that as well.
And then, updated website,
Yeah, I just was gonna see if we could hire someone, or is there someone that we could designate to do those things, or, you know?
do we have full access to our Facebook yet?
No. Refuses to let me change administrators on it.
I was wondering if we, you know, should hire someone in marketing, or someone that does web pages, or is familiar with them, or, you know, that would keep that up to date, or, you know, I mean, I think it's a big job. There's a lot to update all those businesses. I don't know if each business could go on and update that, but they're not going to.
There was Tim Slotsky that was, when I was on the board earlier, the first 4 years. he
Yeah,
was-
so,
he was-
I mean, could we contact him if we want to hire him, or?
Well, he goes south for the winter, so I don't know if somebody to be in Crofton for 1 month out here. I don't know what his schedule is, maybe he's got some ideas, I don't know. Should probably make contact with him and see, you know, what he had and what would work for us, I guess.
Cause there's no way to just eliminate us from Facebook, it's like, we never existed in Facebook, we can't do that, right?
Violates the thermodynamic law, doesn't it, or something, you can just eliminate Facebook.
I mean,
You can request, you can request to claim a page if you want to, it's in the privacy settings. You can either try to claim a page, or you can consider it false, and you can ask them to take it down. You just have to have, you have to
I
show
tried
them legal
everything,
permission to do
yeah.
that or whatever, so. The website issue is, you had one from clear back when Charlie was here that nobody could ever get into or get rid of, and so a new one was made for the city of Crofton's too, and then the community club has their own website as well.
And so one of them really antiquated, the Hendrix era.
The red and yellow one is the super old one, yeah. The blue
So-
one is the new one,
But you can still go in Google and come up with that. And
because it's been there the longest, it has the biggest Google Analytics, yeah, you'll be able to see that first. And the other one is like Crofton -NE, right, or something, right? It's a weird, and it's a .org, I think, or something like that, it was a.
And that's our city one, right?
Both.
The
Is
one
that
with
the
the
blue
dash.
one?
Maybe we can have you do it.
This is the .org.
Brooke, maybe we can have you
It's
do
the
it.
it's got a dash.
It can be done, it's just, you know, you can attempt to buy those, I'm assuming you still have access to the blue one on the back end, right? You can go in and program that one and do whatever you want. That one was made for the
So
city by
what site?
somebody, yeah, the blue one, the new one, right?
I don't know what color it is, it's got the tulips.
Oh, that's
and
how
stuff
I
on it.
was
Yeah,
determined between the two, is the blue one is the new one in my mind.
I don't know what color it is.
The Crofton Nebraska one comes up first, it depends on what search engine you use too. So Crofton Nebraska is the community club. They've had that for 100 years or whatever. The cityofcrofton.com is what I would call the new one, city-of-crofton.com is technically the new one. And then, if you lost the other one, I don't see it at the top anymore.
So I definitely think that we need someone to designate someone to do this, and it's gonna take a lot of time. And yes, you might have to contact Facebook and get permissions and hunt down passwords and, something to think about.
Because there are implications from that.
It was recommended by that, conference that I went to, where that was through the county, right?
Yeah. But I mean, there's things on city's Facebook page that are, don't shed good light on your city. That should.
From base, yes. There's things from all of them that are either outdated, which, you know, when people have, if it's advertising for the Q125, well, that's a great event, but, so, it makes the whole page look a mess. The pictures are all fine, you know, they're timeless, they said, but.
I guess the only thing in my report is that I